afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with Anglican. My name is Ayana James, and today I have the distinct pleasure of chatting with Cherryl Jackson, a parishioner of All Saints in Newtown, and the Secretary of the Anglican Education Board of Management. Ms. Jackson, good afternoon, and welcome to Conversations with Anglicans.
Good afternoon, Ayana, and good afternoon to the listening audience, and thank you for having me on the Conversations with Anglicans. I am quite pleased to be here.
Great. So what I'd like to start off with is for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and how being an Anglican has impacted you.
Okay, so I am Cherryl Jackson, wife, mother, grandmother, former teacher, principal. I've been teaching for 40 years, and my last stint was principal of Melville Memorial Girls Anglican School. So I taught at 4 Anglican schools during. I have always attended the Anglican church from birth, and I just really 3 churches, Holy Cross, Marabella, because I am originally from South. And when I got married and I moved to Port of Spain, I started at St. Crispin's, and then I moved to All Saints by chance, because one Sunday I went to church and the church was closed, only to realize that it was 4th Sunday and the time was different. So I followed somebody to All Saints, and since then, there has been no turning back. I really enjoy my parish. I enjoy the people. I enjoy all the clergy that I have met since I am there, and I am there for over 25 years.
Amen. So what has been some of the highlights? Teaching for 40 years and teaching at various schools. I mean, from teacher to principal, I'm sure that has been quite a journey.
Yes, my most enjoyable period was doing the SEA class. I really enjoyed that. My paws are raising because I like the drive. I like excitement. I like that seeing the results, and then especially when those children come back to you after so many years and you see what they have achieved. That is my pleasure. That is my satisfaction. As I say, no amount of money could really fill that position, that compensation, but the joy it is when your students come back to you and they tell you what they have acquired, what they have accomplished during so many years. And sometimes when you go to different offices and you see these your past skills, that joy, look at what I have done to the nation's children. So that is my satisfaction from my teaching career.
Wow, that's excellent. I know some teachers run from the SEA class because of the pressure, but I see that you like it.
Oh yes, I taught it when I went to St. Catherine's. I taught from 83 to 87 in Standard 2, and after that from 87 to I left there in 2012. Promoted as principal at Melville Memorial Girls. So most of my SEA. Sometimes so very challenging because it's not every year you get the same type of children, the same. Yes. Sometimes are more enjoyable, more challenging than others, but say what, we have to do what we have to do. And as
exactly.
Teaching is a vocation, it's a calling, and you deal with all types of children.
Yes, and then of course you have to do the reflections, how to.
Yes, exactly, yes.
But how was that shift from being a teacher now to a principal? What was that like for you? How did you make the adjustment?
It was different. So you get to see a different aspect of the whole teaching career. But when I acted for 2 years at St. Catherine's when I was the most senior person there. So I got a little stint of it. And then I realized that the classroom is for me. I really enjoy being in the classroom. But of course, encouragement from my church sisters. You have read so far. I did my B.Ed, I did my M.Ed. What is all of this about? So why don't you apply? So I applied and I was successful. And it really was a different it was a different environment. And you get to meet new teachers, and it's a different perspective. So now that I am the secretary of the Anglican Board, I can understand the role of principals and the work that they have to do.
Yes, exactly. And I was now coming to that. I was coming to say, because you have been teacher, you have been in administration, that would serve you well for the work that you do on the Anglican Education Board of Management. Mm-hmm. So for those of us that are not too clear about the role and responsibility of the Anglican Education Board of Management, can you share that with us?
Okay, so the Anglican Education Board of Management has 59 schools under its purview, 12 in Tobago and 47 in Trinidad. We lost one St. Michael's School for Boys because of the whole issues there. So we have 47 schools in Trinidad. Now the diocese is divided into regions. So each region, Northeast, Northwest, South and Tobago, has an education committee, which is it acts like a subcommittee of the board. So the secretariat at the board level, we are in charge of the daily operations of the office. So we see about transfers, recruitment, promotion, we follow up on repairs and things like that. Okay, we have a monthly meeting, board members. We have a monthly meeting where we discuss any issues pertaining to our schools. So at the board level, we have representatives from each region. So representatives will bring their issues and whatever we discuss as a body to see how best we can deal with these issues. They too have their, in their regions, they would have workshops to improve the standard of performance of our schools and any issues that teachers may have. They also try to deal with it if it is at that level first, and if it is something that it has to be brought to the board level and discussed, that is done. So we follow up on recruitment, where we get a lot of prospective teachers from clergy members and people from the different parishes. So we have that. Then we do transfers. For some reasons, people may want, because of change of address, they may want to, move closer to a place of work. Promotion, we also deal with promotions. We have interviews for promotion and we do our recommendations. So the board does its own interviews, and then this is followed by service commission's interviews. Once the candidates are successful, we make the recommendations. Okay, but we try to get people who are practicing Anglicans and really know the Anglican faith, because of course we want to continue with that in our schools. They have to expound the Anglican faith in our schools. When we do recruitment, we have the prospective teachers, they come in, we have an informal conversation with them. It's not an interview. We want to see exactly how if they are ready to be teachers, because teaching is a vocation, it's a calling, and it has to come from the heart. Okay, so we have a little chat with them, and once we are satisfied, well, this candidate is a good prospective for teaching, we give them the application, and this has to be endorsed by the parish priest. Of course, you have to put the ministries you are involved in, and of course the qualifications. We still take the 5 CXC, English and math being compulsory, but the basic requirement is really, the requirement is the Bachelor of Education in Primary. Okay, so when the candidates come to us, some of them have it already and some of them do not. So we still take those who do not have that, the Bachelor of Education. And of course, when they are successful, they must begin that Bachelor of Education within the first year of teaching.
Oh, okay. I'm really glad to hear you say that, that in our Anglican primary schools that you look for Anglicans, but how successful is the board in terms of finding Anglicans that want to teach in our primary schools? Is it a hard process? Is it easy? How is that?
It was difficult at some point in time, because we have many non-Anglicans in our schools now, because when they come out of UTT, but we didn't have many Anglicans, so we had to go to the government's list to take Anglicans. So we have over 60 non-Anglicans in our schools. But now we have managers, the parish priests, getting involved and looking for prospective teachers, and this is something we try to encourage, and we are very successful at that level. Many of them come to us and they recommend persons who they see have that potential for teaching, and we go from there.
I'm really glad to hear that, because I didn't go to an Anglican primary school, but I went to an Anglican secondary school, and having that Anglican faith being, as you said, expounded and part of the ethos of the school, it really helps.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Because right now we have revised, or the religious instructions curriculum by one of our priests and a member of the, well, she's a past supervisor, past principal. They revised the curriculum, and we have distributed that to all our schools as well as the managers, so they would know exactly what is being taught, the Anglican faith that is being taught in our schools. So that is not a problem as far as religious instructions, as that is concerned.
I'm kind of curious that the priests are called managers. So what exactly is the role of the priest in terms of running the school? If there's a principal that's running the school.
Well, so the administrative part, of course, the principal does it, but the manager, he's in charge of the that church, but I forget the word, but he has to ensure that the services are done, the children, the students come to church, and that priestly part, the word is slipping me right now, right? Okay, so he or she ensures that is done. Any other issues, because we have maintenance of our plant, okay, so they are involved as well as making sure that all is well with the school.
Okay. All right, and they tend to do any kind of reports for the Anglican Education Board of Management, or is that the principal?
Well, no, through the regions, because all the managers are supposed to be part of the region.
Understood.
Of the schools are, so they are part of the region, and when they have their regional meeting, monthly regional meeting, they do any report that is necessary, and then if they can handle it at that level, it is done. If not, it comes to the central office, diocesan office.
Oh, okay, good. Understood. Well, you would have shared earlier about qualifications that a teacher would need in order to be a teacher, right? So one of the things that I would like to ask you is the pandemic. It hit us in 2020, right? What were some of the things that the Anglican Education Board of Management had to do to help our schools get, deal with this pandemic with virtual teaching?
Okay, so at the beginning, it was really, really hard because devices, connectivity, electricity, and we still experience some of those problems. Very few of our schools have gone totally online, thank God. But, there would always be those who are less fortunate than others, and we are still struggling with those. For example, a school in Tableland, the children, they have no connectivity. They have devices because corporate TNT has been very helpful in donating devices to our students. So they have devices, but they have no connectivity. So they have the school, which should not be, but that is the only way out. They have to go to school. Then we have a lot of children receiving packages. No way a package can teach you. So when all is finished and we are back face to face, we would have a lot of problem in terms of catching up. Luckily, the ministries this term, they did a diagnostic test. They started off the first 2 weeks, a diagnostic test to see where the children are at. One region did it previously, Northwest. What next? They did an assessment of what has been done during the pandemic and where the children are at. Now we try to beg. Parishes have been very good at this, and the parishioners were able to donate devices. The ministry had a number of online classes, workshops for the teachers so that they could, because this is something new to all of us, so how to plan lessons and things like that. One region, Northeast, they have started, with their teachers to planning online classes. So I suppose hopefully we will have the other regions following and doing this to assist their teachers in planning online classes. But it's very stressful. Some people enjoy it. Some people say it is stressful because they work way beyond 3 o'clock. Then we have children who have to wait until parents come home to get the phone because it's WhatsApp. So it is really difficult, and hopefully by God's grace, when all this is finished, things will come back to normal. I don't know when, and the children will be able to be back to school and learning taking place. But we know definitely some children are left behind, and this is something we have to deal with as as a board, as a diocese, and as a nation.
Yes, I completely share that sentiment in terms of trying to make sure that students are online. And it was really sad to hear some of these stories. Like the same thing you said, like you just assumed everybody had electricity. You just assumed people had internet. And we just didn't know, and it's all about trying to ensure that everybody goes together, everybody is working together at the same pace, but it's really hard. And, we find as the months go by, the gap is starting to widen, has the Anglican Education Board of Management try to assist parents? I know you say workshops and so forth for the teachers, but for the parents, as a parent having to go through that, it's a bit much having to manage work and ensuring that your child is on track. And I just have one. So has there been anything for parents, assist parents?
No, we haven't done anything to assist parents. We haven't gone that far as yet to assist parents. But of course, parents, we assist them. Parents complain. A number of parents, we have received complaints that the teacher isn't on long enough or the teacher doesn't come every day, and those are issues that we have to deal with. So we try to ask our principals to try and log on, go on the platform and see what is being done. For example, we had a grandmother coming in and complaining, and we tried to, she told us exactly what is done, and we had to intervene. And when the principal told us, yes, the teacher is on, and when he did check, the teacher was on for 1 hour, twice a week and things like that. So you really have to monitor, because remember, you're not in school. You have to advise principals to do. They must get the platform, the timetable from the teacher, so they would be able to log on at any time. Because you have to monitor. If you're monitoring in school physically, you have to also monitor online.
I understand that as well. Has the principal shared with you all, leading a school, running a school virtually is really a whole different skill set, and like I said, you have to monitor teachers in this virtual platform. Have the principals shared any of the concerns that they have in terms of this whole new virtual teaching?
Yes, some we had with our recruits, they came on earlier this year, and we asked them about their experiences, and some of them, they have outside, parental interference, because of course you are seeing and you don't like what you're seeing. You say, but the children are helping, the parents are helping the children, and things. Some of them passing, like one teacher told us, daddy or big brother passing and peeping to see who is missed, because they're hearing his voice to see who is missed. So we have outside interference, kind of preventing the children from doing exactly what is done. We also have, in terms of the packages, parents doing the packages and sending it back. So we ask, let the child do the work, because what gain is that? Because if the child doesn't do the work, how would the child go on to the next level? So we have lots of cases and problems coming in with this online schooling.
Yeah, it really is a lot to manage in terms of, the attention span of children. They're so short. And, I'm kind of wondering about first year and second year, how that is going, because, they need a lot of supervision as well.
Exactly. And some of them, they're going into second year and they have not been in school as yet. They have not.
Yeah.
But I think from a lot of schools this year started to ask the children to put on their uniforms, because they have bought it for last year and they haven't used it to wear the uniform. And then you have to give them a sense of school. So just putting on anything and, coming on screen, wear your uniform, so that you will have that formal setting, the school setting, as compared to, just putting on a t-shirt or putting on whatever and just coming in front of the screen.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It gives them that sense of discipline, getting dressed.
Yes.
That kind of helps. Have the managers been able to, as you said, they're doing RI and so forth. Has that been something that has been continued in terms of services and classes? That is part of the timetable as well?
Yes, we have religious instructions. After assembly, we have most schools, religious instructions, and they follow the set curriculum as prescribed by the board. Well, of course, that is set, but of course there are other books there, because we had 2 others before that they could use along with what is prescribed now.
Okay, good.
And of course, we have a hymnal, Joyfully We Sing, which is used by all our Anglican schools.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice.
Yeah. So we have some of the hymns from our ancient and modern. We have them in there. That hymns and these hymns are arranged in seasons.
Right.
Of the churches here, so it's very easy to. And we have, of course, a shortened version of the prayer at the back.
Okay. That's good to hear. I'm glad that there's a common book for everybody to
Yes,
use.
for everybody. Yeah, we insist.
Really
and also what we try to do, we try to encourage our principals to set up to keep that Anglican ethos a sacred space. So a couple of years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, to begin the sacred space, they were given a Bible, Book of Common Prayer, and the Hymnbook, at least to begin, so they could add a picture of the bishop, but that is not supposed to be in the sacred space. I see some but it's displayed because they would know the children have to know who is the bishop of the Anglican diocese. Of course, they could add, but I have seen very lovely displays, like somebody had a chalice, and and other. Then you could add other religious books, a little place where the children. You have to be creative, where the children could sit and read and things like that. If the child wants to meditate, I even saw a kneeler, and if the child wants to go in and be by himself or herself and say a little prayer, a little quiet moment.
That is lovely. That is really, really lovely. I'm glad to hear about that. Really, really glad. It seems that the Anglican Education Board of Management has a lot to tackle, because, I mean, 59 schools is really a lot to manage, So I really hope that there's some level of cohesion, a lot of communication, timely communication in terms of the issues, and somebody will just drop an issue on your lap and say, well, hey, we can't deal with this, and just expect it to be solved immediately, So I really hope there's that level of cohesion and just really working together to ensure that everybody is, moving along. As you said, in Tableland, you have those issues in those rural areas. You would have those issues, but I really hope that there's ample communication,
And we try our best in terms, as I mentioned before, the regions, the subcommittees of the board. So they work along with us. They work with the schools in their region, so that it wouldn't be the central office in charge of all these 59 schools. So, for example, South has, I think, 26 schools. South is the biggest region, so they have a lot to deal with, because South is Southeast, Victoria itself, and St. Patrick. All right, so that's a big area.
Yeah, it really is big. So for anybody looking on, right? I mean, I know Canon Jacob always says confession is by appointment, right? But when my daughter was 4 and I was looking for primary schools, I mean, I was looking at Anglican primary schools for her to go to. And I remember somebody saying vehemently, do not send your child to a specific Anglican primary school. Don't send your child there. And I was confused, because I was like, why? I mean, we're Anglican. I did investigate another Anglican primary school, but I felt that it wasn't, she's not a special needs child, but there were particular things she needed at that point in time, like she needed ample space to run, she needed her own space to sit and so forth, and that wasn't available at that school. So we didn't really pick that school, right? But what I liked, I saw that the children were were involved in worship. There was worship in the morning. The children were involved in the whole process. When she had to go for the interview, the standard 5 and 4 children were there. So we see that the structures are there, right? But it's just, the furniture and so forth, it really wasn't conducive for her. That doesn't mean that it's for somebody else, right? But I would like you to share, though, what is the advantage of choosing an Anglican primary school in our diocese for your 4 or 5-year-old child?
Okay, as long as the parent is an Anglican, well, I would want, if I'm Anglican, I would want my daughter or son to go to an Anglican school, because you get that holistic development. Okay, it's not purely academic. So you get that academic, you get your spiritual development, you get your morals, and remember, we have certain things that we believe in, and so that would be continued. Our faith would be continued. All right, and the teachers, most of our teachers are caring. They go the extra mile. We have very dynamic principals, and of course, they would encourage their teachers to give up their best. You see, the thing about it, the Anglican faith, the Anglican, what we believe in, service to people. And if the principal is a practicing Anglican, she would encourage her teachers. I'm saying she because he or she, the principal, would encourage his or her teachers to be continuous learners. Start to get look at new trends in education and not be stymied by the old archaic ways of teaching. Okay, so we have many of our Anglican schools, they take part in a lot of extracurricular activities. Good. And for holistic development, this is important.
Good. If I had another child, I probably would go a different route. But I see the good that takes place in the Anglican Primary School, and I would want to recommend that takes place.
We have, of course, in all schools, Catholic and any denominational school, we have some do way better than others. So what we are trying to do now is to get all our schools back on, because I don't know how far back you go, but long ago when I was in primary school, the Anglican schools were these schools in the nation. We performed. So we're trying to return to that pristine glory that we once held by encouraging our principals. A school is as solid as the principal, is what the principal wants. Okay, so if we could get our principals to really have dynamic teachers and really hardworking teachers, giving of the best, we would have good Anglican schools. But of course, we have quite a few who always shine. We have, I don't want to call names, but we have some schools that shine, but eventually we will get all of them at a certain acceptable level so that Anglican parents would say, yes, I have to send my child to an Anglican primary school.
Yes, I'm excited about that, really, really excited. So I would like to ask you, just to round off the interview, do you have a specific Bible verse that you go to when things are a little bit stressful and you want to, calm yourself? What would be the Bible verse that you would turn to?
My mantra, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ. Well, him they say, but him for me is Christ who strengthens me. Anything I do, I believe that wherever God puts me, he will give me that wisdom. He will give me the energy. He will give me exactly what I need to do to fulfill that duty.
Amen.
It's my mantra. Even when I climb hills on a Saturday, I have a group of people I work with. We do the hill, Lolo, Bamboo Cathedral. So when I can't make it, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and that I go up the hill trudging with that.
Nice. I love that. And do you have a hymn that you just really love?
Oh, yes. Hymn 196, Guide Me, O Thou Great Redeemer. The music, I'm going to pause, the music and the words. Oh, Lord, it's beautiful, beautiful. It really, as a matter of fact, our hymn book has a lot of lovely hymns.
It does.
That could really, in times of whatever you're going through, you could pick a hymn and just read the words. You don't even have to sing. Just read the words and you will get that fulfillment.
Yeah, this is something that I think is really missed a lot. A lot of people get hung up on the fact that it's slow and so forth. But I think we really need to look at the words, because that's what we need to concentrate on. I mean, even I think back to myself, even when I was younger, I never really used to complain about the Anglican music. I never really used to, because I used to focus on the words, and they really are very powerful, very well written, very
yes.
Yeah. So that's something that I know we there are some things that we do need to modernize, but I don't want us to lose our hymns and how significant.
Yeah, the meaning of the lyrics are powerful.
They are. They really are. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Jackson, for explaining to us what the Anglican Education Board of Management does. I know I could say on behalf of the diocese, thank you very much for the work that is being done. I know it's monumental, especially now with this whole situation with COVID and having to ensure that students have devices and ensuring that teachers as well, are able to do the work, because, it's a whole different it's really a different set of skills that you need in order to teach online. So I'm glad to hear that there are workshops that teachers are available to go to, and I really hope that the principals are speaking to the teachers about mental health and taking care of their mental health.
Yes. Because with all of this, they just have to take care of themselves. It's stressful for parents, for teachers, for all of us. All of us.
Yeah. So I hope there's that aspect of mental health for teachers as well as the students, because the students have to adjust to, they don't have the running around to let off their energy anymore.
That's the social skills.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's all of that. So it's really, I really hope that, there's that holistic looking at everything. And, I really hope that whatever the board sets out to do with God's grace and God's help, that they're able to achieve it, so that, our students, as you said, our schools will come back to that glory that they want to, and they will. So thank you. Yes, exactly. It's a lot of teamwork. It's a lot of communication. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be instantaneous. But once,
perseverance.
Yes, and proper intention, you're doing it for the right reasons. I know that our schools
exactly. God will show us the way.
Exactly. So thank you so much. Thank you so much
for having me.
Yes. So everyone, please enjoy the rest of the evening. And remember the 3 W's: wash your hands, wear your mask, and watch your distance. Bye, everyone.
Okay. Bye.